So that brings us to number 5, empowering your people. All right? The very thing you were made for is the very place where your story is to be lived for 60 to 70% of your time. Okay? And so understand that we have preached the gospel of salvation, but unfortunately, we have not taught the people to apply the message of the gospel to their everyday life. And this is the difference between the gospel of salvation and the gospel of the kingdom, and why we're losing the culture. And so when I talk about where you're living, where your story is to be lived, okay, what I'm saying is each of us have been called to participate in the mission of God. And we all have a place in that. And that place is not where we spend, the 5% of our time, which might be in church. And so we have what we call 5%ers. And that's people who act like Christians on Sunday in church in between the hours of 10 if they achieve Sunday school and 1:30, depending on how long your service go. And that's the end of their Christian life. Maybe they come back out on a Wednesday, but no, that is the equipping piece. That's the celebration piece. That's the pep rally piece. And when I'm talking about where you live in your life is within your home, there's a discipleship call. There's a love call on your job. You are the person who's been sent to be the lighthouse there in your community. You are the neighbor that loves the neighbors. Within your family, you are that chaplain. And so where you live your life, you need to understand that you are a missionary. You are a missionary to every aspect, every friend, every family member, every aspect of your life. The Lord has allowed you to take residence in order to serve him. And when you see yourself in that way, you realize how important that little bit of time you're spending in church and that equipping is for everything else you're called to do. And so empowering your people is preparing them to see themselves how they function outside of the actual church. Okay? So Jesus chose 12 men from the marketplace, fishermen, tax collectors, farmers. Interestingly enough, none of his disciples were priests in a Jewish church, a natural place to recruit from if you were going to start a religious movement. Was it an accident that he called men from the marketplace to play such a vital role in his mission? And that's a statement from Ed Stetson and Comeback Church. And he's saying, is it just by chance that Jesus called? Sometimes when we think about the mission of God and who are the important people in this process, we think about the pastors, we think about the priests, we think about all the deacons and the church leaders, and we forget, Lord ain't called none of them when he put his mission together. He called people from the marketplace. Why? Because it wasn't built on religion, it was built on relationship. It was built on relationship. And so you are just as important to the kingdom of God and the mission of God as anybody else. And so the people of God has to know, they have to know, and we as leaders have to inform them, equip them, and empower them to understand their critical role in the mission of God. Ponder, for example, Ed says, the fallacy of contemporary Protestant term full-time Christian service, as if those not working for churches or Christian organizations are only part-time in their service for Christ. And so all of us are full-time Christians. Whether or not we're getting paid by a church or not, we're full-time Christians, and we have to understand that identity. The role of the local church is to equip and release the congregation in a way that impacts the culture. Right now, spiritual leaders are telling marketplace people to come and help them build their church. And the reality is, I think we got it backwards. We are supposed to be equipping them to go and build the kingdom in their marketplace role and understand that the church is going to benefit from that process. Okay? And so we got to stop being so self-consuming as a church and understand the kingdom, and the power that we have when we unleash God's people to do God's work. There is no other institution in the world that people from so many different secular locations gather weekly in one place together as they do in a local church. Pastors miss a wonderful opportunity if they do not use that opportunity to equip men and women in the workplace for cultural transformation through their work life callings. So we got people from all over, and so when I think about this, I realize like, I got a captain from the police force, so I could put on a Black Lives Matter, I could put up a protest sign, or I can minister to this captain who has the ability to influence all those under him. I got people in the hospitals. I got nurses here. I got school teachers here. I got sanitation workers here. I got what we call returning citizens here from incarceration. And so I'm able to impact many people when I realize, I got one of them on my team. And if I could give them the gospel and give them a heart of Christ, and they take that back over there, they could infiltrate that, right? In a way that's going to bring God glory, in a way that's going to have an effect on a culture. When I realize that I don't want to suck all of your time and bring you up in here and keep you here all the time when I need you out there doing the work of the Lord, empowering your people. The average Christian has no spiritual impact on their workplace and has been unable to integrate their faith life into their work life. Why? Why is that? Why do people go to work and don't even tell folks that they're Christian? Because we have not empowered them. We have not equipped them to tell them how to go into the job and be that lighthouse, how to go in there and have that small Bible study at lunchtime, how to just be a friend, how to just care and love, their fellow co-workers. So they have no impact whatsoever. The church weekly question should include: how many shared their faith with someone this week? How many invited someone to church this past week? And how many participated in someone else's discipleship this week? If we are calling people and holding them accountable to these questions, right, they'll realize that when they leave here, they wasn't supposed to leave here just to say good message. They wasn't supposed to leave here and say, oh yeah, I like that little nugget that I had for me. They leave here saying, what can I go share? And how do I go share? Who does the Lord lead me to go share? We have to stand beside people and give them the confidence to do the things. We have to give them the power to do the work of the church. Then we must stand back and cheer them on as they carry out those tasks. When people begin to grow and serve, their churches also begin to grow. You want revitalization? You have to start by revitalizing the people that God has given you and then send them out to do the mission of God.